This week's special guest, Damon Kwame Mason, filmmaker, game changer. Joe Tilley's Great Canadian Sports Show, coming up! Welcome to the program. Today's special guest, we're glad to have him on. He is from Toronto, a documentary film director and producer, owner of 7 and A Dream Productions, graduate of Seneca College, former radio and TV announcer, director of Soul on Ice, Past, Present, and Future, an award-winning film. He's co-host of Soul on Ice, the podcast. He is now working with the NHL, Black Hockey History. He directed the recently released series NHL Bound. Welcome to the program, Damon Kwame Mason. Kwame, good to have you here, my friend.
Thank you for having me, Joe. Hey, you tell people that you were on that?
Sorry, Brian, what was that? I just couldn't quite catch that.
I said, do you also tell people that you were also in my documentary?
Well, yeah, we were going to get to that for sure. Not only
Okay,
that,
I gotta
okay,
make sure.
not only am I in the documentary, which is fantastic, and I'm not just saying that because I'm in it, but I also have the T-shirt.
I like it. I like it. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah, it was a great film. Well, why do we? Well, actually, I want to go right back to the beginning. Let's go right back to the beginning now.
Sure.
So, from Toronto, you're a graduate of Seneca College in law enforcement. Tell me about how your career changed paths here, and you ended up as a documentary film producer.
Yeah, I've always loved. I think my passion from since I was a child was film and television, acting, the whole 9 yards about that. But there's this thing, and first generation West Indians will tell you that their parents, when they came to Canada and they had children, what they instilled in them is to go to school, get a job, and just work, have your family. All these other dreams of entertainment and all these other aspirations were just that, aspirations and dreams. So I did always like the concept of law enforcement. So it wasn't something that I was forced into doing. It's something I just kind of, when I graduated high school, thinking about what I was going to do, I thought that would be my only real path of something that I'm passionate about. But I've always, in the back of my mind, wanted to do entertainment. I did it. I was just that guy in school, and so the switch happened. I think the real switch happened to me. I had an older brother, and he was not a big fan of me being a police officer. He just wasn't a fan of me doing that. He passed away in 1995, and around that time, I was about to take an entry level test to getting into Metro Police. I had done the physical work and passed that with flying colors, and I did the written test, passed that as well. And mentally, I just wasn't there, and all that I could just keep hearing was his voice telling me, "I don't want you to do this. I don't want you to do this." I literally went into the interview at the police, and they they said, one of the questions was like, "So why do you feel like you'd be a good police officer?" And I was like, "I don't know. It's just something to do." And I really just blew that interview purposefully. My mom worked for Metro Police, so I just went there because of her, but I knew I didn't want to do that. And so once that door kind of closed, it put my back against the wall, which is kind of like a theme of my life, is my back against the wall, having to do something out of desperation. And I auditioned for this hip hop, an R&B entertainment television show called Fat TV that came out on, if you remember, CFMT back in like '96, and that was my beginning of broadcasting and and working in that medium.
Well, I guess that's not the answer to the question. Why do you want to be a police officer? It's something to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You don't. If you want to get a job, don't answer like that. Don't.
Okay.
So
Any prospective police officers out there, when you go for the job interview, it's something to do. It's not the
yeah,
way to get the job.
I figured I'd like to just go out there and drive those cool cars, but I don't know.
Right.
So yeah, that was it for me.
Yeah.
So they were. I'm sure when I left, they were just like, "Yeah, I don't think so."
Yeah. No, yeah, I think your motivation has to be something a little bit different than that. That's what my guess is.
Hmm.
Hey, so you started doing the R&B shows, and you did some on TV. You mentioned, and you did some on radio as
Yeah.
well. And
Hmm.
so you clearly you decided there must be some kind of a career path in this, right?
Yeah, it was something I always loved to do. It was just that my world. And so that was the thing for me. And regardless of how much I got paid or sometimes didn't get paid, I just tried to make it happen. I knew that I wanted to tell stories or be a part of stories. And I just kind of put my head down and worked hard. I remember my first radio job was at Kiss 92, and that's when Kiss 92 first it was the very first time it came out. And I remember telling myself, I made a promise to myself that I would never work a 9 to 5 job ever again, regardless of whatever happened. Because prior to working at Kiss 92, I was uh, I was trying to be a collection agent, and I was just doing it just to make money, and
Uh-huh.
I really couldn't care less. And we all don't really like collection agencies. So even that's a funny story. I was a collection agent for like a month. And, when I would have to call people and tell them that they owed money, and, everybody does not like, I was like, hey, don't worry about it. Listen, we'll figure it out. I'll call you back. So, so once I got the radio job, I was like, okay, I'm out of here. I can't do this. I couldn't do it anyway. So, yeah, I made a promise to myself that this is going to be my world. Storytelling is going to be my world. Entertainment is going to be my world. So I just put my head down and I just went hard body karate, as I would say.
Right. I was never a big fan of the 9 to 5 type work either. And
Mm.
yeah, the collection agent is not the most popular guy around, right? People
No,
aren't really looking forward to seeing
no,
you when you show up.
no. I've
Yeah,
had a couple call me in my
yeah,
days.
yeah, for sure. And so, thankfully, it was only a short period of time, and
Hmm.
you didn't get hurt doing that or anything else like that. So, Uh, so, so you got the idea that you wanted to, want to create stories, and how did you get?
Hmm.
What motivated you to put together the Soul on Ice documentary?
So I was living in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, for those who don't know, in 2005, working at a radio station there. And, one of the first people I met was George Larac. And this was that summer that, they had that lockout that was happening in the NHL. And so he was in Edmonton at that time as well. And he co-hosted a radio show with me, and it was a lot of fun, and I got to know him. And then when the season started, he was like, hey man, anytime you want to come to a game, let me know. And coming from Toronto, it's really expensive to go to Leafs games, so I never saw really on my own. I might have seen 2 Leaf games, and that was because friends took me. But when I was in Edmonton, it was like tickets after tickets after tickets, so it was a lot of fun going to these games. And really, really getting to see games live was that thing that really gets you more excited about the game of hockey. And I remember one night we went to this bar after a game. It was myself, George, Rafi Torres, a lot of the Oilers at that time. And I remember just looking at George and seeing him with his teammates and thinking, he's the only black player on this team. I'm wondering, how comfortable is he here? Does he feel, a little bit not excluded, but does he feel a sense of loneliness culturally? Because a lot of my career in radio, when I would move, I've worked in Kitchener, Calgary, Edmonton, Red Deer. A lot of these places that I went and worked radio, I was like the only black announcer. And I know for me, when I would go to work and just be the only black person there, as comfortable as I am with my friends and my coworkers and stuff like that, there is something in the back of your mind going, man, I wish there was at least somebody else of a different color that worked here with me. So I thought that about George, and it made me think about the history of black athletes in the game of hockey and doing research on it. I remember going home and doing research on it and writing that in Google, and then I learned about the Colored Hockey League of the Maritimes, and I just found that out. And I'm at this point in my life, I'm a hockey nerd. I love the game. I'm watching Hockey Night in Canada every Saturday. I'm engulfing the game. Doesn't matter what team is playing. I'm watching the game, and I thought to myself, how come the hockey world has never talked about the Colored Hockey League of the Maritimes? What a great piece of history! And thinking about the fact that nobody else talked about it gave me the idea. Well, if nobody else is talking about it, then maybe I should talk about it. And I knew that I always wanted to I always wanted to direct a film and make something. So I thought to myself, this could be a possibility. So I just kind of kept it in my back pocket. And once my back was against the wall, I embarked on that journey, and then I created So All Nice Past, Present, and Future.
We had George Fossey on the show, author of Black Ice, who
Mm-hmm.
with the story of the Colored Hockey League, and it was great. It was George, it was that book that it was very enlightening, and the history of that league is phenomenal. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
basically they invented the slap shot. They started it. They introduced a lot of stuff into the game today that we see in the game today was introduced by the Colored
Yeah.
Hockey League, and how it disappeared and why it disappeared, and it was a yeah, there's a lot of history here. We're checking out some of the footage from footage from Soul and Ice, and so I when you asked me to to be interviewed for the film, it was like when we met, and then back then Herb Carnegie was still alive, and
Yeah.
um, yeah, and it was I was really happy to be part of it, but I also noticed that you were certainly motivated and you wanted to make this happen, and you did, and it's an absolutely phenomenal film. It's I highly recommend everybody see it. I know that it's been on Sportsnet, it's been on a few different channels and whatnot, but it's certainly opened a lot of eyes, and it's must watch television when you want to talk about the history of blacks in the sport of hockey. It's great, and you
Yeah.
did an awesome job with it. Um,
Thank you.
did you run into any problems along the way? Any issues with it? Did you have any? Did you have some trouble making it or?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I was a first time filmmaker, never made a film before, and the the trouble that I had came in different parts. So, for example, the first major trouble that I had was the simple fact that nobody is going to give money to a first time filmmaker just like that. I know that in Canada we have a lot of grant systems for film and television, and they always say that they encourage first timers to come and and access this, but it's not really like that in my opinion. And that was my biggest hurdle, was trying to find money. So the first thing I did, like I said, I was living in Edmonton at that time, so I had a condominium, my first home that I had purchased, and I sold it and just took the money that I had there to help pay for camera crew and whatever I needed, travel or whatever I had to do. And so that was a real big hurdle at the beginning financially. And then again, the next biggest hurdle was the fact that I was a first time filmmaker, and when you go into places and talk to people and say, "Hey, I'm doing this documentary about black athletes in the game of hockey. Would you like to be a part of it?" A lot of people were kind of like, I don't know, let's see how that goes. But I was blessed to have people like George the Rock step up at the very, very beginning. I was blessed to have Herb Carnegie be a part of it, and having guys like that come in at the very beginning helped other people be a little bit more comfortable in wanting to do the film, and so it kind of snowballed. I was blessed to have you in there. You have a very credible name in the sports world. And I remember when I was thinking about making the film, I was thinking like I need some announcers to be able to talk about the history of black athletes in the game of hockey from their perspective, because being broadcasters, they would have seen or heard or thought about the idea of certain guys. And at that time were one of my favorite broadcasters. And so I wanted to make sure that, I don't even know how I reached out to you, but I got in touch with you, and you were so gracious to do that. And it's so funny. I tell people this all the time. I say, if you watch the clip with Joe Tilley in it, you'll see him. He's doing this. Look at my eyes. He's doing this while he's talking sometimes. It's because there was a Blue Jay game on, and Joe was trying to do his research at the same time while we were doing this. But yeah, it was great, because even you introduced me to a couple of other broadcasters. We will not mention their names. And they said, "Oh yeah, contact me," and none of them did it. Yeah, so I'm very grateful for your time, Joe. And you were great in the film. You had some great knowledge that to share with people, and it also helped lend its credibility to the game. So regardless of all the ups and downs that I had, especially the downs, it was the process, and you have to respect the process. And I believe that those downs are the things that motivated me to keep making the film and completing it and making it what it is today.
Um, Tell me a little bit about meeting Herb Carnegie and what that was like for you.
Mhm. Yeah, interestingly enough, February 28th has just passed, was the anniversary of when I first sat down with Herb Carnegie and conducted my interview with him. And just from the research and everything I learned, it was just incredible to me that this man had so much accolades and never had an opportunity to play in the National Hockey League. And I remember when Bernice Carnegie said to me, "Would you like to meet Dad?" I had goosebumps. I was just like, yes, I would right away. And, again, like this interview that you're seeing right now, that is the very first time I picked up a camera, crew, and put this down. Like literally, it was the catalyst for me. And meeting him was beautiful because here's a man that was 92 years old or 92 years young at that time, and he had dementia and he was blind. So his faculties weren't always there. The reason why you see me sitting beside him is because he couldn't hear me across from him. So I had to sit beside him and speak really closely into his ear to ask him his questions. And it was very interesting. Like, he didn't really remember too much of his growing up. But when you talked about hockey, he just was there. He was sharp as a glove. And it was just beautiful to know that that memory was still within him and he still had that love. And it was also just sad to know that he never got an opportunity to play in the National Hockey League. I always say that if he had that opportunity to play in the National Hockey League, hockey would have been a lot different than what we see it is today, because of the fact that he was such a prolific player and goal scorer. He would have done great things in the National Hockey League. But it's great to know that regardless of all those struggles, he was still able to go about and make a difference in our community with the Future Aces Foundation and the Future Aces Creed, and inspiring young kids. And I'm so happy that I have his very last interview tucked away and able to share it with the world, and so that they can learn a little bit more about this great man.
Well, he certainly was great. Matter of fact, John Beliveau, who was around a while, said that he was one of the best players he played against or with Herb Carnegie.
Yeah,
And the fact that he never made the NHL was just a travesty. And if he had have been, able to make the NHL, if he had and done what he was capable of doing, that would have fast tracked this diversity piece by so many years, right? And we just, but we are where we are, and we are
hmm
moving ahead. And I want to make
hmm
that transition now to talking about NHL Bound. Uh, what was the
okay,
impetus for this, and of course your role with the NHL and the
yeah.
diversity piece as well. Tell us how you got involved and tell us what the series.
Yeah, so after Soil and Ice came out, I pitched this idea to be able to go to different NHL markets and show the film and have Q&As and just talk about inclusion, diversity, the history of Black athletes in hockey. And so that became very successful. And I started to form some great relationships within the National Hockey League. They had asked me to create a piece for Willie O'Ree for his 60th anniversary of being the first black athlete to play in the National Hockey League in 1958. So I created that, and kept giving ideas. Once Kim Davis became employed at the National Hockey League, she tasked me with some great ideas, tasked me with coming up with some great ideas and initiatives. And they eventually offered me the ability to be a consultant with the National Hockey League, especially when it comes to content creation. And so I've been doing that for the last couple of years. And so let's fast forward to just before the pandemic. There is a historic mobile museum that I helped curate for the National Hockey League that has been traveling across the country. It's just a mobile museum that's kind of like the idea of showing and talking about the history and contributions of black athletes in the game of hockey. And in doing that, I had this idea thinking about coaches, and I had pitched this idea to the Seattle Kraken just before they even dropped the puck, and they weren't able to really execute this idea. So then over the summer, I was talking to Javier Gutierrez, the VP of Arizona Coyotes, and he said to me, Kwame, if you have any ideas that you'd like to execute, let me know. And I just said, by chance, I do have this idea. What I'd like to see is
Mm-hmm.
some coaches having the ability to work within an NHL team just to get that experience. And so it came as kind of like a internship program, and that I'd wanted to document. So they opened the doors for me. Bill Armstrong greenlit it. Coach Bear greenlit it, and we went out to Arizona for a week. I took two coaches, one from Canada, Nathaniel Brooks, and one from Washington, D.C., Dante Abercrombie. I wanted to show the difference between an American and a Canadian, and bring those two guys together, and spent a week and just worked with their coaching staff and worked with these kids. This is their rookie camp, their development camp, and it was just great. I mean, for me, it was just like a no brainer. That's the one of the other things that needs to be conquered in the world of hockey is coaching, because as you know, in hockey, it's not really about who you know; it's who knows you. And these guys both know their X's and O's. They just need to open up their Rolodex, and that's one of the things that I wanted to accomplish with NHL Bound, is putting these guys in a position where they can show their talent and work within an NHL team, so that they can say, hey man, these guys have the potential, and if a door opens up, or if I know that there's a door opening up, I can pick from these guys and pass their names along, or bring them within our organization and give them an opportunity that they deserve.
Well, yeah, at the beginning of every series segment, it says there are 220 coaching jobs in the NHL. Only 8 are held by people of color. not a number that certainly reflects our society. And just to give you some background, I got from Nathaniel Brooks. He's an associate coach for the Ryerson Rams. He's got deep
Yes.
hockey roots, as it turns out, from Nova Scotia. Born in Richmond Hill, played OHL for the Oshawa Generals, played at York University and for the Whitby Dunlops senior team. Dante,
Yeah.
assistant coach at Stevenson University, played Federal Prospects Hockey League, and he also had a stint playing pro in New Zealand, which is kind of interesting. That hockey hotbed of New Zealand.
Yeah. Yeah.
but
I mean, it's
but
they're bringing them.
yeah. Yes. So that's they suddenly find out from Coyotes GM Bill Armstrong that they've been invited to the development camp, as you said, and that is a pretty cool opportunity. And tell me what the guys' reaction was when this happened for them.
Yeah, what's really cool about this is, again, like I said, I had that idea for about 8 months, and so I was putting together a pitch package, and so I would call them both up and I would say, "Hey, send me your resume, send me some pictures. What's this for, Kwame? I can't tell you." Uh, so for like 8 months, and like they wouldn't hear from me for like 6 months. And then I'd call them back and I'd say, "Hey, man, remember when I was asking this? I want to do this thing with you, and I just want to, capture you coaching and stuff like that." And he was like, "Okay, sure, come see me." And how I wanted to set it up was make this an actual genuine surprise for these guys, and not have them going into this with any expectations when I first interviewed them. So, you know, I think the best reaction from that was with what Nathaniel said, which was, this is the opportunity that I need. And I know what he's saying. He's saying, this is the chance for me to get in front of some influential people to show them what I got. I'm here in Toronto. I'm doing my thing with Ryerson. I'm doing my thing with these kids in the GTHL. I want to get to that next level, and NHL Bound was that next level that allows these guys again to show people who are in the mix that, hey, I can sit and talk and do the whole everything that you can do, I can do as well. So all I need is this opportunity, and they took that opportunity and they did such a great job with it. And I know down the road that these guys will be working for an NHL team at some point. I'm just, it's just which one and when.
Well, we do have a clip, a couple of clips from the promo. Can we run that, Vic?
Part of making a difference is really opening the doors and being very inclusive to all communities, and also bringing diverse voices to the seat of authority. And clearly, decision making in terms of coaching is so important.
It was a dream come true. Being in the room is something that truly matters. You can guess what a coach does, but to actually sit in the room and to hear them have the conversations about the decisions that they need to make is very powerful.
The biggest, piece of this is that kids, that look like us, from diverse backgrounds, can look and see, us, people that they can, relate to, and they can, see themselves in, to know that they can do whatever they want to do in life.
It makes it tangible, like to see that there are individuals working in hockey in different capacities that look like you, that came from where you came from. Now you walk a little different, you approach things a little different because it's been done, it's being done, and it will continue to be done. Diversity in hockey matters. It enhances the experience for everybody involved, from the parents to the players to the coaches to the referees and everybody else that's included in that. And that's what you get when you have black, brown, all different sexes and genders on the bench together. Like it's very powerful, and everybody grows from that experience.
Hockey needs to kind of reflect, the way the world looks, right? The world is, a diverse place, and hockey needs to start.
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was good. That was really
All-Star
good.
Weekend.
Right. Yes. All-Star Weekend. So very recently, really. And so what I can't help but thinking, good on the Arizona Coyotes for allowing
Yeah.
this, to happen. And we saw the first clip was from Javier Gutierrez, who's president and CEO of the Coyotes, and and Bill Armstrong, and of course Coach Tilley, Andre Torini, and the whole gang was really. I mean, you can see it in the series that they are so open to allowing this to happen, and it's great. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I again, like, Arizona has been struggling for a little bit, especially in the media. But the one thing that I will say wholeheartedly is their dedication to growing the game is genuine. You hear it from Javier, you hear it from Bill, you hear it from the whole coaching staff. These are people that really want to see the game grow, and they opened it up for myself to be able to come in there and create something without any restraints. Sometimes someone will want to do something like this, but there's always somebody in some department that is going to hold you back. Nobody held us back there. They opened up the door for us, and you can see it inside the series. And I feel like this is one of those things that 5 years down the road, I can see at least 20 teams doing this. And that's the goal for NHL Bound, is to give a blueprint to all the other teams to show them that, hey, you know what, we can do something really special. And in doing that, we may find a diamond in the rough. We may find somebody that has some skills that would do well within our organization. And I think that's the purpose of NHL Bound, is to show the possibilities that are out there and give people an opportunity that they wouldn't have had before. So I'm really happy for the series. I'm really happy to have done the series with the Arizona Coyotes, and I think they deserve just as much credit as I do for putting this idea together.
Well, it was really cool watching the guys on the bench. What was the response like from the players? It seemed to me that they were certainly buying in. The fact that these guys had no NHL experience didn't matter, and they seemed to respond to them pretty well.
I think that's one of the biggest things going into doing NHL Bound, which I was very nervous about, was how are the coaching staff and the players going to react to these guys? Are they going to think that they're just some house league coaches just getting some charity work done? Are they just going to push them to the side and say, hey, collect some pucks? Or are they going to give these guys an opportunity? And after the first day, you can tell that the coaching staff and the players trusted who these guys were, their knowledge to the game, and they allowed them a seat at the table. And I think that's the biggest thing, is the seat at the table. So these young guys are, that's their development kids. And those kids just want to learn. And as long as it makes sense to them, they are going to soak in that information. And I feel personally that, and you can see it from like behind the scene footage, that the players really took in the stuff that Dante and Nathaniel were delivering to them. And, that's a testament to their professionalism. And that's a testament to the fact that they were going to listen to them first and say, okay, yeah, you know what? You know what you're talking about. Let me listen to you just like I'm going to listen to somebody else. So I'm really happy that it turned out that way, because it could have turned out a different way. It could have been just in one ear, out the other. But everybody was very receptive to these guys, and were professionals and respected their knowledge and what they brought to the table.
Well, I'm sure they're going to take away something really special from this opportunity. I found myself getting to the end of the series and going, is there no way that they could stay with the Coyotes?
Wouldn't that have been a great ending?
Don't let these guys go. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it was pretty cool. And I know that it's going to have a positive effect on both Nate and Dante. I'm sure they've made some lifelong Coyote fans too. I mean, people watching this series are going to be lifelong Coyotes fans, let alone Nate and Dante. Yeah. So
what's so funny about that too? Sorry to interrupt you, but I remember saying that, hey man, these guys need to get a job right away. They should be having a job. And Nathaniel said to me, he said, Kwame, you know what? It's not about that. This was a great opportunity. I was able to show people what I can do My name is out there, but you have to trust the process. And Nathaniel said it correctly. He says, I don't want somebody just to give me a job just to give me a job. I want them to give me a job because they know that I can bring something to their organization, and I want to earn my position. And that really humbled me in the fact that, man, these guys are very serious about what they're doing. They don't want no handouts. They want to be the best people at the table. And I think that says a lot about who they are because, you know, who knows? There could be some naysayers out there. And I think Nathaniel recognized that I have to be the person that knows what he's talking about for these people to respect me and for me to get that opportunity. I don't want them to check a box. I want them to say, I need this guy because he's going to make my players better.
You know, it's interesting because we had Angela James on the show last week, and we asked her about the inclusivity piece in hockey and NHL in particular, and this is what she had to say.
I don't think that any person in the BIPOC community wants to be given an opportunity just because they're Black. I think they want to deserve it. And I think that what needs to be done is at the grassroots level, at the junior levels, the opportunities have to be there. I think that everybody has to pay their dues like everybody and work their way up. But the opportunity has to come from below, so that when we get to those stages, that you're qualified and you're going to have an impact. I also think that when they're there, and I think that some changes have been made that it's not well, I'm going to bring my buddy in here and I'm going to bring my buddy in here, and so then it's just a continuous circle of systemic racism, and that's how it happens. Or I'm going to bring my family in here, and so then it's very hard to make those changes. But I don't think that it has to be in a one-shot deal. I think there has to be some sort of protocol in place, and you're going to get a lot of organizations that will engage and really make a solid effort for change, and then you're going to get some organizations that are not, for various reasons that you'll never know, and that's where things will continue to progress, and there will be continued problems in those associations.
She summed it up pretty well, didn't she? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that is exactly what I'm talking about. Everybody wants to have an equal opportunity and earn this spot. No one just wants a handout, at least the guys that I know, the gals that I know in this hockey space that are trying to progress don't want handouts. They want to be able to deserve their spot on and off the ice. The biggest problem is what she was talking about, the nepotism, the let me just bring in my buddies. Oops, excuse me, I'm sorry. And the funny thing is I can't even find, oh, there it is, sorry. Sorry, Joe, I apologize. That's
Love for your ringtone.
Broadcasting faux pas 101, but that was the theme song of the movie Django. But anyways, as I was saying, they want that opportunity, and the problem is the nepotism that happens. Let me bring in my family. Let me hook up my buddy. And when that happens, you exclude a group of people, and that's why the game of hockey has had its problems. I always tell people, the problem in hockey is not diversity. The game has always been diverse. Maybe not as diverse as we want it to be, but it's always been diverse. The problem is inclusivity. The game has not been as inclusive as it can be. And with that, we have that problem that when you're not inclusive, you don't bring in a certain group of people and you're excluding people. So now you have that issue. So I think what NHL Bound does is puts people in that position where they become a part of the conversation. They're a part of the Rolodex of fans. So, for example, Bill Armstrong now has two other guys that he can look to say, hey, maybe I'll give these guys an opportunity to work within my coaching staff. But before that, he didn't have them. So I think that's the biggest thing when it comes to making the game more diverse, is the inclusivity and the opportunity for you to be able to see other people with other backgrounds and perspectives, and giving them that chance to show you what they got.
The inclusivity, the opportunity. I think that's the key word there, isn't it? Let's give some people some opportunity. Get away
That's
from
it.
the old boys club, and let's have some opportunity for change here. And you talked about earlier about Kim Davis. The social impact department, the goals of the department. And then the NHL's new motto is hockey is for everyone. 640 players in the NHL, 51 of them are persons of color, 25 identify as black. That's 3.9%. That's not a large number. How do we get those numbers to be more indicative of the population? I think what you've done here is certainly a start.
Yeah, I mean, again, for on ice, that just has to do with the talent pool, and I believe that in the next couple of years, we're going to see a lot more young players of color having the opportunity in the National Hockey League. I think one of the things we have to kind of conquer is what's going on in minor hockey. We have to open up those doors and, start from the beginning, from the very grassroots, which is giving these kids the opportunity or the invitation to come out and try the game of hockey. So, for example, Nathaniel's father, Kirk Brooks, has a organization called Seaside Hockey, which is dedicated to the Africville Seasides of the Colored Hockey League of the Maritimes. And Friday and Saturday, it is a group of kids of color, not just black, all kids of color in the Scarborough area that are learning to play the game of hockey from as early as 4 years old to as old as about, I would say, 11 or 12 years old. And so you're hoping that at that grassroots level, you'll have a few diamonds in the rough that can go to single A, then to triple A, or double A, then to triple A, and maybe make it to the OHL and carry on. So we have to have more of those type of programs. I mean, that's the only one that I know of in the Toronto area. We need more of those in Toronto, Manitoba, Scarborough. Edmonton, all over the country. We need this. We need this in the United States. We need to invite these kids in and get them started from a very young age and give them that proper training, not just the leisure, not just the putting sticks in the hands. We've got to give them that training that they can go and start playing in major organizations and being a part of that system so that they can develop. Money is a huge issue, but I feel that we can find a ways around that. So for me, for us to get that percentage higher on the ice, we've got to start from the grassroots. We've got to stop talking about it. We got to start being about it. It's very interesting. There's a lot of people that have a lot of negative things to say about the game of hockey and about the National Hockey League. But I always look at those people and say, well, what are you doing? What are you specifically doing? Why are you waiting for the National Hockey League to do something when you can do it yourself? I always think of like parents. I go, how many of you are volunteering in your minor hockey league organization so that you have a seat at the table, so that your children or children that look like your child have an opportunity to play for the right teams and get the right ice time and all that? And it's very interesting because when you pose those questions to those people, it's always silence. It's always, well, hockey is this, hockey is that. Well, do something about it. Don't just talk about it, be about it. And that's been my mantra. That's kind of what I'm doing for the game of hockey. And I'm just really happy that the National Hockey League has allowed me to amplify my voice in this game, to do my part. I just hope that a lot of people see this as a way to do their part as well. If you're going to complain about hockey, then do something about it, or just stay out of our way.
Well, I have to tell you, Kwame, you've done plenty about it, and I just I really appreciate what you've done, and continue to plug away. If I want to watch NHL Bound, how do I see it?
So you can go to the NHL's YouTube page, and all the episodes are up there right now. In the United States, ESPN Plus has the full version as well, and I believe they're going to be playing the full version here in Canada. I just don't know where or when, but you can look out for there. But right now, if you'd like to check it out, go to youtube.com/NHL, and you'll be able to find NHL Bound, or just you put in your search NHL Bound, and check it out there, and leave a comment, subscribe, rate, review, let us know what you think.
Well, awesome. What's next on the agenda? Have you got any projects in the works?
Yeah, I'm actually currently working on something right now. Let's just say it has to do with women of color in the game of hockey. So that'll be the next one that I hope that you'll invite me back on the show to talk about.
Right, maybe you and Angela both, maybe, huh?
See that?
Yes. Yeah.
yes, for sure.
That's me being discreet. By the way, we do know where Edmonton, Alberta, Canada is, because that's where I'm from. So,
yes. Well, I mean, it's Joe Tilley, so I'm thinking that you got fans all over North America. So there's somebody in Texas going, "What's Edmonton, Alberta, Canada? What's that?"
Yeah. There you go. Understood. That's awesome. Listen, Kwame, I want to thank you again for being on the show. We, as a guest on Joe Tilley's Great Canadian Sports Show, we got some great clothing for you from Classica Imports. We're going to hook you up with our pal Jeff, and he'll take care of business. All right. And thanks again, buddy. And we'll talk soon.
No, thank you, Joe, man. Again, I've had an opportunity to come back to people who have made a difference in my life and helped me get to this place where I am today. And you're one of those guys. You did not have to say yes. And I didn't have no credentials, but I think you saw something and you wanted to be a part of it. So I'll be forever grateful for you and your time. And thank you so much for being a part of Soul Nights, past, present, and future. So thank you, sir.
Well, you're one of my two favorite Kwames, and I'm honored. I'm honored to be part of it. I really am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Guests on Joe Tilley Sports receive a gift certificate from Classica Imports. Top of the line imported men's clothing. Check out the Classica Essential Collection now. Go to shopclassica.com.
Hey, this is Tommy Graisley, aka Tommy Gunn. I love two things, music and sports. And when I want sports, I go to the Joe Tilley Show. He gives me everything I want. It's a great show. Check it out for yourself. Joe Tilley Sports, coming up.
Good night. When I'm working out, I like to wear my Joe Tilley's Great Canadian Sports Show t-shirt. It makes me feel handsome and strong. If you want a t-shirt, support the show, click on the link below. Now, back to my workout. 1,761, 1,762, 1,763, 1,764. Addiction Rehab Toronto, Toronto's #1 alcohol and drug treatment center, saving lives, reuniting families. The only treatment center in the province to offer medical detox, treatment, sober living, and lifetime aftercare all in one place. Our unique and specialized programs are designed to equip our clients with the tools to successfully lead a life of dignity, respect, and purpose. Let us help save your life or your loved one's life. Call today for more information or to facilitate an intervention. 1-855-787-2424 or visit addictionrehabtoronto.ca. Joe Tilley Sports is brought to you by COSA, Central Ontario Standardbred Association, providing a united voice for harness horse people racing at Ontario tracks. Check out your benefits today at COSAOnline.com and check out COSA TV on Facebook and YouTube for all the latest harness news and live action updates. Live racing year-round. Go to HPIBet.com for all your wagering options. Become a member today, and your first bet is free. That's HPIBet.com. Slow play. It's a slippery slope. First you go looking for that lost ball, and then everything goes sideways. There are a lot of golfers on the course. Make certain of your point of entry, look quickly, and move on. Remember, we're here for a good time, not a long time. Find anything, Bob?
Not yet. ShopClubLink.ca for golf equipment, demo clubs, trade-ins, golf apparel, men's and women's, custom fittings, accessories, all at your fingertips. ShopClubLink.ca.
And now, my COSA Swiss pick of the week. They finally got that Wine and Roses trotting final in after a weather-related postponement or two. $30,000 for fillies and mares. The favorite, BC's Rose, had the lead all the way, but my pick, number 3, Stonebridge Strong with Chris Christopherou, got driving. Got the trip she needed, pulled out of the pocket heading into the final turn, and she would blow on by to win the final handily in 158 and 4. Stonebridge Strong, trained by Paul Meigans for Saltwater Stable, a $5 winner, yay! And I got the exact as well. Okay, this week, I'm looking at Mohawk. Thursday night's 9th race, the second leg of the Ontario Girls Pacing Series for 4-year-old mares. Travis Cullen owns and drives the number 3 horse, Share the Moment. I will also box the 137 exacta, and my bankroll is back over the $100 mark. Yahoo! All right, now for all the racing updates, visit COSA TV on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Go to hpibet.com for your wagering options. Time now for the Rycom Wrap, sports news that's close to home. Well, a very busy stretch for the Maple Leafs continues this week. So that's what happens because of COVID. Now, 4 of the next 5 games are at home, including 6 of the next 8 as well. They've had some decent success on the road, though. The offense is cooking. Nice to see Mitch Marner making mayhem in Motown. 4 goals and 2 assists in that 10-7 shootout win over the Wings. They followed that up with a big W in Washington. Peter Mrazek seems to be providing some solid goaltending after some shaky work by Jack Campbell. Of course, what really matters is where's Jack in May come the time when the real season starts. It's looking like a first-round showdown with a 2-time defending champions from Tampa or maybe the Panthers. They'll have to dig down deep either way. Speaking of busy schedules, it's 4 games in 5 nights for the Raptors due to COVID problems. Now, they hit a bit of a wall before they throttled the Nets by 33. Might have been their most impressive win of the season without Freddie Van Vliet to boot. I have to say, whipping Goran Dragic must have felt pretty good. I'm starting to think they'll be a playoff play-in team, but I honestly can't remember when the Eastern Conference was this wide open and unpredictable. Miami, Chicago, Cleveland, and Milwaukee have all taken turns looking great and then ordinary in a very short period of time. And James Harden's Philly debut makes you wonder if they might be the team to catch. But if the Raps catch fire, they could be there. By the way, Raptors 905 hosts the College Park Skyhawks on Wednesday night. It's International Women's Night. There will be a tribute to some amazing local women. Toronto FC opened their MLS season up in Texas against FC Dallas. The first game under new head coach Bob Bradley, and the result was okay. The Reds scored in the final minute of regulation first half to tie the game up. Jonathan Osorio with a nice redirect to finish it off as the 2 teams settled for a 1-1 draw. FC will play their home opener Saturday against the New York Red Bulls. Well, I can't say I saw this coming. To move the Toronto Rock rolling along in a 4-game win streak, to move within a game and a half of the NLL's East Division lead when they moseyed into Uniondale to face the last place Riptide, who were just 1-7 and winless at home. And yes, the Riptide prevailed. Built an early lead and hung on to win at 14-13. New York native Tom Schreiber, with 3 goals, got the Rock on even terms, but Jeff Teat won it for the home side, his 4th of the night. 2 clubs will meet in the return match Saturday night at First Ontario Centre in Hamilton in front of live fans for the first time in 2022.
Today's environmental tip: plant a tree. Trees produce oxygen and improve air quality. Trees take in carbon dioxide and store harmful carbon. Trees prevent soil erosion and help lessen flooding. Trees lower temperature by providing shade and cooling water evaporation.
RICOM, passionate people who turn complicated business problems into simplified technology solutions. For public and private sector real estate, properties, portfolios, and enterprise customers. Optimize and future-proof smart buildings from the ground up. Smart Tech Solutions, the latest in fault locating, base building network design, managed services, cybersecurity, data analytics. Our fault detection will support all smart strategies, define projected outcomes for capital planning, and reduce environmental impact. RICOM, Smart Protection Solutions. At RICOM, we're building a path to a smart and environmentally friendly future and a carbon-free economy.
And once again, we want to thank all the folks who make this show possible. These are friends, trusted business associates, and all-around great people. We highly recommend them all. A reminder, the show is also available on iTunes, Spotify, Breaker, Radio Public, Google Podcast, and Pocket Cast, as well as the Spanglish Network and Zingo TV. Also, like and subscribe to the show on YouTube. Thanks once again to Kwame Mason for being on the show. Thank you for watching, and join us next week when NHL Hockey Hall of Famer Jerome McGinley joins the program. We'll see you then. Joe Tilley's Great Canadian Sports Show is brought to you by
Brian Gribben Insurance Planning, helping you solidify your financial future.
At BGIP, what we do that's unique in the marketplace is we show people how to spend and enjoy their money in their early years of retirement without the fear of running out. Also, we're able to do this without you having to change financial advisors. Please look us up at bgip.ca today, and let's book a 30-minute phone call to see how we can bring value to you and your family in your planning.
Call Brian today for all your retirement needs. We did. 905-686-5678.
Do you want to buy or sell a home? Could 31 years of real estate experience help you? Why not speak to an amazing team that loves to overpromise and overdeliver? Aldo has a tremendous team of experts on staff. They are committed to making your next real estate transaction smooth and comfortable. Call 416-GET-ALDO or visit getaldo.com.
Brought to you by MNP, a leading Canadian national accounting, tax, and business consulting firm. MNP proudly serves and responds to the needs of our clients in the private, public, and non-for-profit sectors. Through partner-led engagements, MNP provides a collaborative, cost-effective approach to doing business and personalized strategies to help people and organizations succeed across the country and around the world. With local offices in Oshawa, Toronto, Mississauga, Burlington, and more, our team is here to support you. Visit mnp.ca to learn more.